All right guys, in this video you are going to hear about my learnings by investing money to spend time with Gary Vee and Grant Cardone. Stay tuned. Alright, so if you don't know who these two individuals are, you must have been sleeping under a rock. If you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or someone who is looking to become a business owner or entrepreneur, you must have heard of or seen or followed one of these two individuals. Both are massively successful authors, both on the New York Times bestseller. They both are massive successes in business. Both make millions and millions of dollars speaking on stage, and they both run incredibly successful businesses. Now, as you know, I'm a firm believer in always trying to level up, always trying to gain knowledge and wisdom from others who have been there before and done that. And so I've actually really made it a commitment year over year to invest in being around really high-level players. Now, sometimes that's in a mastermind form and sometimes that's in a one-on-one coaching form. In this case, it was much more in a mastermind form, but I did get a lot of my questions answered from both gentlemen pertaining to my business. And in large part, my business is real estate investing, as most of you know. So first and foremost, when I was able to spend some time with Grant Cardone, it was very apparent that the guy that you see on video is absolutely the guy that he actually is. He is very bravado. He comes off very cocky, confident, in exactly the way he comes across on his videos. So in a large part, I actually really liked that. I liked knowing that the same guy, when I'm around him, and we were it wasn't quite one-on-one, but I did get a lot of personal time. His attitude, his bravado was absolutely the same. It was an energy that was charismatic. It really felt like I actually could go do anything just by simply being next to him. I know that that's why he is so successful and his companies are, because he does it by pure brute force. His energy, his charisma, his work ethic absolutely comes through when you are sitting around him. And when he was answering my questions, he really gave the same type of answers that you typically will see on any of his live streams or potentially Instagram or otherwise. It was very matter of fact, straight to the point, focusing on sales and simply saying, just go get it done. Here's my thought to that though. There was no actual tactical advice. I was actually asking him some very tactical kind of executable questions about, obviously he's big in real estate, and I wanted to know a lot more about kind of his portfolio and where someone like myself that has had a lot of success in real estate, but not on the level where he's at, especially with passive income. I was asking him very, poignant questions to figure out how I could start to get into his space. He basically would answer in a way that was not to my liking. It goes right back to his kind of brute force, work, just make the calls. No one can tell you no. You keep coming back, right? You sell or be sold. And while I do respect that, and I do actually bring that into my businesses a lot of times, there was no real tactical answers given by him, and that really kind of turned me off. It was very surface level. It was very almost motivational to some extent, and I do know he's a large motivational figure in our space, but I really was kind of discouraged by the fact that he wasn't giving me anything that had any tactical advice to actually get started in a space of syndication, buying hundreds of millions of dollars of doors. It was all just very surface level. The way I kind of look at it is his personality is run through the wall, although there might be a door right over there. Now, while for some and most that might be cool and again, kind of the bravado and beat your chest and I'm gonna run through the wall and nothing can stop me. But for me, I also want to be able to work smarter, not simply just work harder and run through the wall, not brute force it, not be a bull in a china shop. And my take after spending time with him is that really is kind of his answer for most things. Now, one thing I did really take from him is he has a ton of really smart people around him. This is a good thing, because based around the answers that he was giving me, you could kind of tell he didn't exactly know the answers to my questions, in which case I really do believe he's done a really smart thing by really surrounding himself by really intelligent people who would have those answers. Long and short, the time I was able to spend with Grant Cardone, while it wasn't 3 or 4 days in a mastermind, I was able to really gather that he's done one thing masterfully well, and that is simply be able to realize his power is his work ethic. He will do whatever it takes to win. He will not take no for an answer. He will keep going. He has that mentality like Muhammad Ali. I'm gonna keep getting off the mat. You are not gonna beat me. You can't beat someone who doesn't stay down. And that he has mastered. Secondly, he's done something really masterful, which is he surrounds himself with people that are much smarter than himself. This is really quite brilliant, and I've really taken that from our conversation and the time that we've spent together, because I can't have all the answers for everything. I myself run multiple businesses, and I've really taken that and said, okay, who do I need to bring around me? Who do I need a part of my team to make me a better business owner and multiple business owner so that we can continue to flourish? Now, Gary Vee, on the other hand, again, does come off in a very similar way that he does on his videos. So again, I would tell you that was very affirming for me, because there's nothing worse than meeting some of your idols, because they tend to not be the same person you might see on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. And it was great to also see that Gary Vee was just as humble in real life as he is when he talks on stage or in front of a camera. His whole mantra really is about patience, being kind, being humble, strong work ethic. I really resonate with a lot of that. He also has built really successful businesses, so I was really happy to see that he takes time out to really help others. A major difference that I saw between Grant Cardone and Gary Vee is, while I had time with Gary Vee, he was able to actually give me very tactical advice about the questions I was asking. I was asking a lot more questions about how to be able to grow and scale an actual company, had conversations and questions about debt and taking on debt to be able to grow and scale, and he really gives sound advice regarding these. Now, true to form, this individual, Gary Vee, is really a great businessman, but he does actually focus on the proper things. He does not like debt. He does not like flashy things. He doesn't like that, because he himself and his entire philosophy is really about investing in something that's going to help you grow for the long term, being in business for the long haul, and all of the extra expenditures such as debt and interest are absolutely unnecessary. Do what it takes to make the money that you need to make that investment in your business, rather than taking on debt. As a matter of fact, when we were talking about business and expansion, he actually was talking about how most people start to not build offices, but grow in office space and operational cost, while he really is suggesting you should be doing the work. People can work remotely until you have that money to really not worry about taking on that extra operational cost. The interesting thing I took from being around both these people is Grant Cardone really does focus on that bull in a china shop method. He wants to just keep going, bust through walls until he can achieve his goal. The thing that I saw about Gary Vee that was so interesting when comparing the two is he's actually a little bit of both. They both made the point that no one can outwork them, and that they have a work ethic like none other. That I actually can see, and I actually really believe both do have an incredible work ethic. Gary Vee, though, also has an ability to work smarter and more methodically and think through things a lot more than Grant Cardone. He really focuses on making sure that you're happy, and that you are fulfilling a purpose, and that your business is really self-fulfilling that happiness and that purpose that you have within, and it's not all about money, money, money. That also was another difference. When talking with Grant and obviously reading every single one of his books, following him on all social media platforms, and then actually sitting down with him, he really is in large part about money. One of the parts of the conversation that I had with Grant was about our watches. He saw my watch, I saw his, and then he went off on a tangent of all the watches he has and how much money he spends on his watches. Major difference between him and Gary Vee. Gary Vee quite literally was in a t-shirt and jeans, not a single watch, no jewelry, and I would guess nothing fancy or expensive on him. I didn't notice what his shoes were, but I would guess they were not, you know, $2,000 shoes. It was very apparent both had another thing in common. They wanted long-term wealth. You know, Grant Cardone is very much in the real estate space, and so I tend to initially have been attracted to his business philosophy because at the end of the day, I also want to have thousands and thousands of rental properties. He has gone about his long-term wealth a much different way than Gary Vee. Gary Vee has built real businesses with real clientele that will last for a real long time. He has built businesses that basically have created an annuity for him, as his clientele are really big companies that aren't likely going to be going anywhere, and VaynerMedia is likely going to be around for a very long time, and then everything else that he's got going around that, which is being a public figure, book writing, etc. One thing I will tell you, for those that have yet to graduate college or go to college or get a degree, I will tell you, both do not care about college. And it is apparent because they really focus on the entrepreneur and how that they can create anything they really want. It is true in both conversations that I had with them. They really focused on that ability that you can go out and create what you want, and if you have a passion and a purpose for it, it'll absolutely happen. Ultimately, what I took from both Gary Vee and Grant Cardone is very money focused. Whether it's his watches or him talking about money or showing money and talking about his plane, or talking about how the rental properties that he has, how much money that creates for him, everything tends to revolve around money. And what I got from Gary Vee is everything tends to revolve around legacy and making a long legacy for himself and his family members. Now, both are similar, but at the end of the day, the philosophies are very different. And I tend to veer towards Gary Vee more so than Grant Cardone. While the man in me and bravado initially was much more attracted or appealed to Grant Cardone's, you know, charisma and go-getter and you know, plow through a wall to go get what you want. Ultimately, as I become wiser, I really like Gary Vee's style, what he stands for, his mission, his philosophy, and his approach to business makes a lot more sense. I'll tell you this, if you're following either one of these gentlemen, you are in good hands. Both are the real deal, both are incredibly successful, and both have a way of winning. So, to conclude, guys, I would tell you, find the one that most resonates with you. The one that sits in your gut like a good feeling, the one that also is in alignment with what you're in alignment with, and follow them. Both of these dudes were incredible dudes. They were incredibly kind, they were giving individuals, and they are incredibly successful. So you're gonna be in good hands any way you cut it.